Welcome to Fulfillment Project. I'm Andy Leonard, and my Substack in this podcast is all about exploring what it truly means and how to live a fulfilled life. If you get something out of the podcast, I'd love for you to share this episode with someone who might find it meaningful. And don't forget to subscribe to my Substack newsletter, where we explore each topic with questions, insights, resources, and reflections. The goal is that everyone can identify with and find fruit in the content. If I missed something, drop a note, leave a comment. I'd love to hear from you. For those who want to go even further, consider joining Fulfillment Project Premium, where you get access to a bunch more support and resources along with each article. Thanks for being here. Let's get started. Today I have high school friends, my buddies, John and Weston. What's so cool about this Substack for me is that I've connected with so many people I haven't in a while. It's been years since I connected with these guys. And when I wrote my article about do the people we hang around with matter, I thought about John and Weston because these guys were influential in my high school days. And I quote one of our teachers, Father McKernan, who challenged us to think about who is the man that we seek to become. And when they popped in my head, I shot them both a text, praying they both had the same cell phone number. Sure enough, text messages came back, 200 text messages later, and one long night, and we were ready to do this long form podcast. So the whole idea of this article is we are the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with. Mentorship matters. Aligning our life to what we really want to achieve matters. And connecting with and catching back up with John and Weston, oh my gosh, do these guys have stories? And they're so much more interesting than me for sure. We've got John, who owns a thriving business, an entrepreneur. We've got Weston, who is fluent in Chinese, lived in China, and has an amazing cultural background. So anyway, I'm going to kick it over to John. John, when I shared this with you, talking about the different stages of mentorship in life, who was one of the first people you thought of, or who was one of the biggest influencers in a positive or a negative way for you?
That's a great question and a good start. I want to talk about 2 people. One, I think most everybody's got one, a father figure. Not everyone's father figure is truly their dad, but in my case, he was. My dad is a good man. I'd say he's a great man, really, and he went through a lot of tough things that opened my eyes to just how tough a man can be and what people can rise over. And just to give a little bit of background, my mother and my father had 7 children, and they had 7 children in 11 years. And the tough years, when my parents split up, having so many young ones depending and looking up to them, and what my dad went through in that split up. At the time, I think everybody was upset, and gradually as time went on, I learned to see what my dad was able to really live through and just keep on being a good person. And it was almost like survival for him. There was a time in that divorce when my dad daily wasn't really sure if he was going to end up stringing himself up from the rafters of the garage. He told me that. And God bless him, he never did. And he got through some really tough stuff. And while his family was crumbling before his eyes, he was somehow able to see some light at the end of the tunnel. And years later, he had a whole new family, and his wife was bringing my half sister into the world, and he adopted his new wife's 2 children and started a whole new life. And God, was the light bright at the end of his tunnel. He's a happy guy, and he became, after college, mostly the mentor that turned me into the business owner I am now. Started working for him in high school. We repair automotive interior damage, and my dad had been in that business since the 80s and trained me throughout high school. Then up into college, I would work for him in the summer times, and right after college, he had 2 of his best guys quit to compete with him. which also was very tough because it was also in the time when his life was very much so out of sorts due to the divorce happening. And basically, I was able to hit the ground running a little bit working for my pops because I had been trained by him already. And as time went on, I went from being the new guy in his company to being one of the best guys to being by far the best producer, and eventually was able to take him out for a few meetings and buy out all my clientele from his business, which was over half of the clientele that his business had, and start my own business. And on day one of my new business, it was already bigger than my dad's business. And all at the same time, I was able to help him get closer to retirement by buying out my clientele from him. And I was able to kind of set myself free from working under my pops. And it paved the road to not only Weston here on this podcast being a subcontracted separate company that has become a pretty good chunk of what we do, but it also has led me from being a one-man show to just in the past few weeks hiring my seventh and eighth technician. And it's realistic that maybe this year we could gross $1 million. So it's really a cool thing that would have never been possible without the leadership of my dad. So on the
Your
topic
dad,
of
John,
mentors,
when
Mhm.
you were in high school, did you see this being your path?
Not at all. I really never wanted to do the same kind of work as my dad, and I thought I was going to go to business school, and actually I was going to go play soccer down in Cincinnati. And when my parents had their divorce, my life really went through the ringer because I was also kicked out of school pretty much simultaneously and lost a scholarship and lost a lot of friends, and had to enter my adulthood without much of a basis of support and not without much of a financial basis either. And um, it was a tough time. There was plenty of years when talking about it would bring tears to my eyes. I know it was largely the end of our relationship for so many years, Andy, and I think that's a
Yeah.
sad thing. It was largely the cutting off point of my strong relationship with Weston as well before we were able to reunite so many years later, and thank God we did. Um, but yeah, so I had the basics from my dad from growing up. I saw how he ran his company. I was able to use leadership and a lot of mentoring just on a daily basis from him that turned into me not only getting good at what we do, but it's pretty safe to say I got better than him at it eventually. I think most good fathers hope their son at least catches up to them. Um, and so there was my dad and mentors in other ways. I had very good wrestling coaches. I had good but not as good soccer coaches as far as mentoring goes. And in the sport of wrestling, it's such a tough sport that a man who has excelled at it to the point where they're able to coach, it pretty much is across the board the sign of a very tough personality and someone who's been able to get through serious adversity. And to be good at wrestling, you're going one-on-one against people that are trained to kick your butt. People that know how to make it hurt and people who know how to dominate you in a wrestling ring. And that's the type of thing that tough guys rise to the top no matter what. One-on-one, winning tournaments, getting up into college wrestling where they just kick your ass every day. Um, it's going to be hard to find a lifelong wrestler that isn't a good, tough person.
Yeah. And
There's
you
a
would say they lifted you up and not dragged you down because they're the alpha and they made you the beta.
Yeah, that's very true. I think if someone finds himself in a coaching position, that's a very generous position to be in the sport rather than just being an individual all the time.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I want to throw it over to Weston. And John, I interrupted you maybe
that's
three,
okay.
4 minutes ago. So if we need to come back, totally happy to. But Weston, I was thinking about you. The last paragraph of part 4, I'm not going to go through the article in chronological order. I'm going to hop around as it makes sense. Before we chatted, this paragraph didn't exist. And that's another beauty of this Substack is everyone is bringing these thoughts to fruition. And like these thoughts are certainly not done. That's why I like these long form podcasts and all the interaction I have with people around each topic is because I'm a young man. My thoughts are still evolving and growing. And so, Weston, the last paragraph of the part 4 talks about bad company and how it can also inspire us to greater heights. And sometimes negative examples teach us what not to become. So I'm curious, in your lived experience in your life, would you can you share a little bit about this and how this resonates with you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thanks, Andy, and thanks a lot for inviting me to be here today. I feel really honored to be a part of your life again. So excited to be here. So yeah, when I think about bad company, I think about so I've been reading a little bit about some stuff, and it, sometimes people say that when your father dies, the only other male in this world that wanted you to do better than him has passed. And I think about that a lot. And then a lot of people also talk about, like Lil Wayne's quote, real G's move in silence. Monk mode is a big thing, just close the doors, ghost mode. People say stuff like this where you just lock yourself away for 3 months and don't tell anyone what you're doing and come back a new man. And all that's good and fine. But man, what a blessing it is if you actually have other male friends in your life who you can share your successes with. Rather, uh, that's letting them know where you're succeeding, or if that's actually succeeding with them, right? So maybe somebody you work out with at the gym, and you're both hitting new goals and new personal records, or if it's just somebody you can confide in and say, hey, I'm trying out this new business or this new idea and I'm actually having success. Because a lot of times, you know people want to see you do well, but a lot of people don't want to see you do better than them. And I'm at a point in my life where because I made some bad choices in the past and some bad friends in the past, I've learned to keep my friends really close and keep that community tight. And I'm able to actually share when I am successful, and it feels really good to let people know things are going better in my life, or if things are going poorly, to lean on them and get some feedback on maybe where I need to improve, or what they're seeing, and have that come from a place of love.
That quote about when your father dies, the last person that lived that wants you to do better than them passed away. I just totally butchered that. But I remember when you told me that the first time a couple weeks ago, Weston. I've thought about that no less than 100 times. And I feel fortunate. I think I'm surrounded by people, not all, not 100%, but I think I could point to people in my life that are friends and mentors that would, their greatest joy would be if I superseded them and I told them something that I did that they haven't accomplished yet. And that's such a joy. Like, how do you, Wes, go about finding people like that?
Ooh, yeah, it's definitely not easy. Obviously, I have my dad, who does very much want me to succeed. My brother very much wants me to succeed. John, as he mentioned, we were able to partner, and I was able to grow a new business with his help, and he's happy to see me succeed, and helps me to do it. And then I have a friend from high school. His name's Dan. We'll keep it at that, I think. And he is definitely someone who encourages me to push harder, and will call me out perhaps if I'm going in a bad direction, and and maybe help redirect me. And he also very much wants me to succeed. And I've had several other people. I've taken on mentors before. Some of them good, some of them bad. And yeah, it's tough. You can tell if someone wants you to succeed by when you do decide to share success, gauging their body language or their face, or maybe it comes out 2 or 3 days
Yeah,
later.
I've had jealous
Um,
brothers.
yeah,
That's a
it
big
definitely
one.
happens. I think it's rare. I think it's really rare for us to have people that want to see us do better than them. I think it's a rare thing, just because that's the way our culture is, right? Um, Yeah, I consider myself blessed to to have such a long list of people that do want to see me do well.
So, Wes, amen. Amen. That thought connected me to John. And John, the way you run your business is insane. I don't think I've ever heard of anyone running their business like this. And in my opinion, it's you lifting your employees up so that they can actually be better than you and achieve more than you. And can you just explain kind of a quick and dirty concept of how
Sure.
you run your business and what brought you to that?
Sure. Well, once upon a time, when I was living a completely different life before settling down and becoming a father and getting married and starting a business, I hustled. I did all kinds of crazy things in my 20s. And one of the things that my older brother, who is just a case study in cutting corners, um, one of the things that he was able to, actually teach me that was a positive thing. Not really coming from his usual mold of I guess taking the easy way out, was when he goes into some kind of a partnership with somebody, whether or not one side or the other, in his case, was really providing half of what was necessary. He just found that splitting profit just felt right, felt even, felt fair, and maybe in his world, it really was sort of used as something to shroud things being tilted a little bit in his advantage. But in my world, when I heard that, I could immediately relate to wishing that my relationship with my father's company was more along the lines of um, a commission basis instead of an hourly or salary basis that reflected effort and production on your paycheck, rather than it being something that was so strongly tied to time spent. And splitting profit really just popped into my head when I was trying to figure out the best way to motivate my people. And what it turned into was something that I've done for all of my employees. Basically, I train them, I provide them with clientele, I provide them with high end specialty skills, tools, and a lot of good technique support, accounting, bookkeeping, really everything that they need: phone, all the versions of insurance, iPads, accounting software, everything that they need to be operating autonomously through their work van, servicing clients for the company as if they were completely their own business. So what I provide is everything that it really takes for them to make a lot of money, and what they provide is the making the money. And at the end of it, we basically determine profit every 2 weeks, and they get their half, and the company gets the company's half, and the company's half largely just goes into providing more people with the same opportunity by reinvesting in more people. And we add a couple people a year, and we've basically gotten to a point with everybody where they're making significantly more than they ever had, and the business doesn't necessarily require anybody to have gone to college, and the business really just depends on how much of a hustler you really are. If you want to wake up and be on time every day, great. If you don't, fine, but you're not going to make as much money. So I've put the motivation into people's hands as far as time on the job, effort put in, speed that they work with. And some of my people only work for 4 partial days a week, maybe 30 to 35 hours, one of my employees. And this person makes as much money as basically everybody else does. They just work their ass off while they're at work. And then other people drive a little slower and work a little bit more at a comfortable pace, and don't stress themselves out with doing absolutely the balls to the walls maximum constantly. And that's really their choice. And I find it to be really relieving that people can set their own pace, and nobody has to crack the whip and wonder why you're not there on time, because if you're not there on time, you're just not making any money. Um, so
John, I think you got to write a book. Dude, I think you're on to something. It seems so basic, but like, I've been in business school. I've done a lot of work in my day. And what you're doing, you're giving your people agency to achieve, and you're providing them with all the resources, all the coaching. And It's up to them. And your people are making a ton of money, which is crazy. And that allows more people to make more money as you continue to grow your business, and you're providing a great service.
Yeah, I
And
think, to interject, something that really goes over well for me, sleeping well at night, is my business isn't extracting everything I can from all my people. It's really just empowering them to provide for themselves. And when people come in to the company and witness that happening, I think it's an eye-opening thing that makes them feel lucky to be a part of it. And just basic examples. This isn't an advertisement for my company, but I've had people working their butts off, struggling, hitting a glass ceiling, can't get anywhere in their job, working a lot harder than they've had to with me, come in and make twice as much in their first year. And it just makes me so happy that I've been able to come up with a process that blesses people. You can bless other people while blessing your own self. And as long as, I think, in your heart you're there to help and not suck them dry like a vampire, but more so I suppose the word is mentor. Literally in our company we have a mentoring program where when a new person comes in, if they shadow an existing technician, then that existing technician gets bonus money, and the person shadowing learns all their techniques. And it's hard to find win-wins in business, but when you're playing on the same team, everybody scores more points.
John, I love that. And by the way, for people listening, this is not like an MLM or some shady thing. They're replacing upholstery in cars. This is like a real physical business with real people. And this is not imaginary Bitcoin they're selling.
Yeah,
This is like
no
real stuff.
pyramid
And
schemes
people are
here.
learning real skills. And I love the mentorship piece where in the real world, when people are self-interested and busy and they have families, sometimes as the owner, this is another brilliant John Farmerism, is like, you have to motivate people to do the right thing. And you're motivating people with bonuses to mentor the other people, which makes the other people better, which serves your customers better, which allows you to generate more revenue for the business and bring more people on. It's like, but as the owner, you have to have the vision to see other people. You have to look beyond yourself. And I truly think you have to love people authentically, and not in a sappy way, but you have to will the good of other people. And you do. And when you do, it's kind of like a secret code where it unlocks potential that would have been trapped had you just been trying to self-serve yourself the whole time.
On this
Yeah,
topic,
John
go ahead.
John definitely runs his company and with tons of empathy. It's really, really cool to see. I go to the meetings and I sit at the table, and John definitely loves his team, and I think everyone there feels it, and I think everyone understands what an awesome opportunity he's providing them, and they work harder because of it. So it's cool. It's like when he runs it with that kind of love and empathy, it actually generates more income because people start to understand what they actually have and appreciate it more and work harder to grow it and keep it alive. It's pretty cool to see.
I want to
And
mention.
speaking of the people, yeah, no, hit it,
I
John.
just wanted to mention one final thing on that, since we're talking about like the people surrounding you affecting really who you are or who you become. Just a quick little thing that I think a lot of people already know this, but I just got to spit it out. So in our company, there were some people that had been brought in and really turned out to be not really the type that were self-starters, not really the type that were honest enough, and not really the type that asked for or received help well. And what that all kind of turned into was selfish attitudes. And when you have a barrel of apples and one of them turns and then the rest start to sort of be pulled in that direction, like how we're talking about influencing the people around us. This is kind of a perfect example. Twice a month, we all sit around the table and we talk about what's going on in the company and how to do better and what's tough and what's easy, and share techniques and insight and help each other. And when one person at that table, or two people, heaven forbid more than a couple, has a consistent slight sarcasm or negative vibe or lack of eye contact or doesn't contribute anything, man, does that hurt everybody when they get up and walk out the door. So I just saw my company go from having one and then kind of two people like that, and having them phased out, and new people that were just so much more alive and hungry take their seats at the table. And gosh darn, it's just like being surrounded with type A's. It just cooks everybody into a perfect place, rather um, than looking around the table and seeing less than motivational figures. One of those people is Weston. Another one is this guy Travis, who left a job that was just taxing him and kicking his ass, and he was working 60 hours a week and he's on pace to do a heck of a lot more than that. It would be too personal to mention what he's going to make, but it's going to be a heck of a lot more than that. But anyway, people good people do great things. Good people do great things, and when they're surrounded by people doing great things, it makes it just normal. It makes it
And it's not even like John, we all have to be the type A's. I think just being a positive influence, like what I can bring to every situation, whether I know what's going on or not, is positivity. It's eye contact, it's engagement. So many people that I encounter, maybe less than 50%, but a lot of people have their shoulders down, their eyes downcast. They don't look at you. They don't bring the energy. They don't bring positivity. So if you are an absolute master of your craft, Madonna, you might be able to get away with that attitude because people need to have you because you're so good. Chances are, though, you're not that good. And so the second someone can cut you, they're going to cut you because you're a pain in the butt to be around. So it's like gratitude and positivity is simple and it's free and anyone can do it and anyone can bring that to the gig. And what I heard you say is like that's a huge difference in your business around the boardroom table, um, or shop table or wherever you guys meet.
Yeah, we do it right in my main living space in my house. Yep. Basically my kitchen table.
I love that. So talking about surrounding yourself, Weston developed an idea. Weston knows you from high school. You guys reconnect. Weston shares his idea with you. Now you guys are collaborating. Weston, kind of go through that process. And if we can tie this into a thought from the article, and I mentioned it earlier in the episode, uh, who is the man you seek to become? So, Weston, can you take us back to high school Weston, and then early 20-year-old Weston, and Weston today? And how has that phrase, who is the man you seek to become, changed in those three different periods? And intertwine into that how you connected with John and your current journey, and who is the man you seek to become today based on your relationship with John. And let's remember, John is a dude that got under unique and interesting circumstances, booted from high school, ended up not going to college, lost a scholarship, changed a white collar fortune and career for unknown and a lot of heartache in the meantime.
Yeah.
So
Tough.
this is like, life is not clean at all. And I think the people we surround ourselves with can come and go. And maybe there's another lesson there on like not burning bridges or something like that, or constantly being uplifting to people because you never know how they're going to relate in life to you. But Weston kind of floated away from John, uh, and then came back. Weston, bring us up to speed.
Sure, yeah. You're asking me to kind of like jump to like 4 or 5 lives ago because I've lived quite a few since high school. But the three of us were all pretty close in high school, and that seems like such a long time ago. Probably because actually at this point it is a long time ago. Um, getting close to 20 years, right?
Guys are looking
So,
great though.
Crazy,
They're looking
man.
great.
yeah, yeah. So in thinking about who is the man I seek to become, I think I lost touch with that at different points in my life, which is unfortunate. But in regards to the positivity you're talking to, I think I've always tried to be positive and have confidence, but sometimes maybe teetered into the cockiness aspect, and it is a fine line between confidence and cockiness, and it's a line worth knowing. So I'll say that, but I'll continue. So, who is the man I seek to become? In college, I didn't really know, and lost sight of that. Spent some time in Germany. Shortly after college, moved to China, and created a whole new person and a whole new identity there. Um, and somehow managed to stay in touch with both of you while I was overseas. And though not often, we chatted through different social media
And I will
and
pause
different.
and I'll say, Wes, I think it's part of your positivity from my whole time knowing you on it. I mean, we've had years in between contact, but it's like your natural positivity always drew me back. Either I'd think of you and reach out, or you'd reach out to me, and you're not the type of person I'm going to ignore. So there's something unique there to me.
Yeah, cool. Thanks, man. Yeah, the way I see it is like every single person has something to complain about, right? And at any given point, those problems might be more complain worthy or less, right? But every single person is still breathing, right? Every single person is still alive, so therefore, every single person has something to be thankful for, right? And so understanding that, yeah, things might be really bad or whatever, but you know, it's an exercise I like to use at home with my family, whether that's my wife or my kids, and my kids are young. But if you're gonna come to me and complain about something, let's start with saying something we're thankful for. Like, hey, I really appreciate that I came home to a clean house today. But the kids are screaming. Is there something going on? Like what's going on? Right? And so just starting with something you're thankful for, starting with positivity, starting with gratitude, and then communicating that there's potentially a problem and offering to help with it, I think goes a long way than just walking in the door or being received when walking in the door with like I think I think that it's not hard to be grateful, and somehow people make it seem like it is. And so in my life now, and who is the man I seek to become is I seek to be I seek to be surrounded by people who are grateful, right? And who are thankful for what they have, and then look through gratitude, able to look at their problems and find ways to overcome them and become better, right? And I think that there's a big push for entitlement, and there's a big push for victim mentality in our culture right now. And I think that both of those sort of identities lead to the same result, right? So there's the shopping cart example, right? You go to a grocery store, whether it's in a nice neighborhood, a bad neighborhood, or just right there in the middle, right? You're going to have people who didn't put their shopping carts away for various different reasons, but 9 times out of 10, one of those two reasons is going to be entitlement. I don't need to, right? Or victim mentality, like I shouldn't have to. And it leads to the same result. Another example would be like not using your turn indicator when you're switching lanes or you're about to make a turn. That's your only other way to communicate with other drivers, but for whatever reason, you feel entitled to not need to use it, or you feel like you're such a victim that you don't need to use it. And then that kind of energy fuels. So now somebody else is going to be upset, and somebody else isn't going to use their blinker, is going to honk at somebody, and it ripples through our society and through our culture. And it doesn't need to be that way. And I think the best way to change it is to change yourself, right? And so to approach people, shoulders back, firm handshake. How are you? Nice to see you. Good morning. What a beautiful day, right? And that little bit I think it goes a long way. I think you can ripple through. I guess my point is you can ripple through society in one of two ways, right? You can be the one that is perhaps letting negative energy ripple through you to other people, and then that trickles down. You might upset another dad who's on his way to work, and then his day at work is negatively impacted, and then he goes home and maybe he has a little bit of a negative attitude towards his wife, and then the kids see it, and then they have a little bit in it. right? Or you can be the guy who instilled happiness in somebody that day, and then that was able to ripple through their day, and then you positively in fact impact a family 3 days later. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's up to you, right? And I think I detracted a lot from the original point, but who is the man I seek to become? I seek to become somebody who is an awesome husband, an awesome dad, an awesome friend. I want to be the best friend to people that I possibly can be. And sometimes that means I got to call my friends out, right? And sometimes that means that I want them to call me out, right? There's accountability there, right? And that's the man I seek to become. I want to be a good husband, a good dad, a good friend, a good citizen, both of my country and of my earth, right? And I want to be God fearing, right? God loving, God fearing, God praising. That's the man I want to be.
Weston, holy smokes,
Wes,
man. That was so nice to hear.
dude, yeah, my eyebrows are singed off, brother.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
I just feel like
a
pulling
lot
yeah,
to
what
think
he
about.
said.
Yeah,
But hey,
Yeah.
seriously.
Well,
I think being a good provider, once you reach that point in your life, and before providing for others, providing for yourself in a good way that's balanced and based in to pull from the message of Jesus Christ, the whole general leaning towards selflessness over selfishness, as long as you don't lose sight of taking care of yourself so that you can be your best. I think that's probably my biggest point, that coming from who I am and the lessons I've learned, to be proud of yourself. I think that almost requires some part of doing good for others and providing, whether it's good energy, good vibes, being a light in the room, or literally financing what it takes to raise a family. Not even financially, obviously, but putting the energy in and the time in and the attention and the love. And remembering, really, if you boil down the message that Jesus Christ tried to put into this world, that was so revolutionary at the time, and now it almost seems cliche because people know it and they hear it, but they don't live it, is selflessness over selfishness. It's the defining feature of a Satanist. It's all about you. It's all about them. Um, and you can't be a
yeah,
self-serving person and also sleep well at night, if you ask me.
yeah,
I
I,
had
I get
no idea.
confused by it.
Confused by
I,
what,
I get
Wes?
I get confused how some people are just able to like live such like it, I get confused how some people are just unaware how selfish they are. It's confusing to
Mm,
me, but I've tried to move past it. Right, I used to get angry, and then I just through anger become selfish. Right, and I've tried to move past it, but I do get confused sometimes.
So
And
who wants to
yeah,
work
like John
with?
was saying, the main
Sorry.
message of Jesus is love, right? Like love, right? Love your neighbor. And that doesn't necessarily mean treat other people the way you want to be treated, because the way you might want to be treated isn't necessarily the way they want to be treated, right? It's having that empathy. And that's why I like seeing the way John runs his company, because you can see that he has a love and empathy for them. He doesn't treat everyone exactly how he would want to be treated. He treats them how he feels that they need to be treated, and it's cool to see. Um, so yeah, main message is love, and if we can surround ourselves by individuals who love us and who we're able to love, man, life can be such a joy, huh?
So true.
such such a joy. I had no idea where we were going today, guys. I mean, we legitimately could have gone in 100 different directions. I think we went where we needed to go. And the main things I'm going to extrapolate from today are selflessness, gratitude, and love. And like, despite what happens to each of us in life, everyone has their thing, not to minimize it, but to amplify it. Like, we all suffer and struggle in our unique ways. And we need to surround ourselves with people that are going to lift us up on the hard days, because some days it's so hard. It's like one little poke and we're cracking through the ice, and gratitude, because it could just be so much different than it is. And man, I love you guys. Any final words before we get out of here?
Go ahead, Wes, if you got anything. I don't mean to.
No, I'll just say, Andy, thanks again for including me on this, and it was a real honor to be here. And I hope that the things that I said can make my God happy.
Well, I think that this has been not only a pleasure, but a privilege. And these two guys on here with me are some of the greatest people I've ever known. And I'm so happy we've reconnected. And I would absolutely love to be a part of any opportunity to participate in Andy's media outlets in the future. And God bless everybody. You know, it's a hard walk we're all walking in our own ways, and remembering those 3 points that we all, kind of boiled it down to is going to help anybody. Doesn't matter who you are. So,
John, Wes, you guys, we met each other as boys, and I'm proud to know you as men, and I can't wait for all of our families to grow and continue to grow together. Have a great one. Everyone, thank you so much for tuning in to Fulfillment Project. Leave a comment, subscribe, 5-star, send it to 1,000 people. I love you. Talk to you soon. See ya.
see you guys.